Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Saira Mujtaba and with me is Manoj Singh Rana, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the plenary session of Eastern Economic Forum in Russia, says India-Russia energy partnership can help bring stability to global energy market. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India will engage with all the 27 European Union members on Indo-Pacific. India extends stay stipulation period of foreign nationals stranded in the country due to COVID-19 till 30th of September. In Afghanistan, new Taliban-led government likely to be announced tomorrow. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga to step down amid increasing anger over his government's handling of COVID-19. And in Tokyo Paralympic Games, Praveen Kumar bags silver medal in men's high jump, Avni Lekra wins bronze in 50-meter air rifle event, Harvinder Singh bags bronze in men's individual recurve event in archery. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India-Russia energy partnership can help bring stability to the global energy market. He was addressing the plenary session of the Eastern Economic Forum.
India-Russia energy partnership can help bring stability to the global energy market. My Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Mr. Hardip Puri, is in Vladivostok to represent India at this forum. Indian workers are participating in major gas projects in the Amur region. From Yamal to Vladivostok and onward to Chennai, we envisage an energy and trade bridge. I am happy that the Chennai-Vladivostok maritime corridor is making headway.
Prime Minister Modi said India and Russia are partners in space exploration through the Gaganyaan program.
Today, I am delighted that one of India's biggest shipyards, Mazagon Docks Limited, will partner with Zvezda for construction of some of the most important commercial ships in the world. India and Russia are partners in space exploration through the Gaganyaan program. India and Russia will also be partners in opening up the Northern Sea route for international trade and commerce. The friendship between India and Russia has stood the test of time.
Mr. Modi said India and Russia have been jointly working in many energy projects. The Prime Minister highlighted that India's biggest shipyards, Mazagon Docks Limited, will partner with Zvezda for the construction of some of the most important commercial ships in the world. Mr. Modi applauded President Putin's vision for development of the Russian Far East. He said India will be a reliable partner for Russia in realizing this vision. The Prime Minister recalled that in 2019, when he had visited Vladivostok to attend the forum, he had announced India's commitment to enact the Far East policy. Saying Vladivostok is truly a sangam of Eurasia and the Pacific, Mr. Modi said, in the Indian history civilization, sangam has a special meaning. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on Indian Prime Minister's address at the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok. In conversation are Skand Ranjan Dayal, former diplomat, and Manas Pratim Bhuyan, journalist.
Mr. Dayal, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today spoke at the Eastern Economic Forum. During his speech, he spoke extensively about Indian history and civilization and the significance of the word Sangam. And in that context, he said that Vladivostok is truly a sangam of Eurasia and the Pacific. And he also applauded President Putin's vision for development of the Russian Far East region. And he said that India will be a reliable partner for Russia in realizing this vision of Russia. So how do you see Prime Minister's comments at the Eastern Economic Forum?
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's comments are very apt and they have a very deep meaning. If we look at the map of Russia, there is a huge area on the east of the Urals right up to Vladivostok, where the population is sparse, but it is very rich in natural resources. And it is an area of Sangam. From Vladivostok, sea route to Indian ports is shorter than through the northern ports or even Baltic ports, etc. So this is a quest which India has for a very long time to develop India's economic and connectivity relations with earlier Soviet Far East and now Russian Far East. In fact, India was the first country to open a full-fledged consulate in Vladivostok, and that was in the Soviet times. So this attempt has been there, and our government's efforts have been given a sharper focus under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Mr. Tayal, the Prime Minister spoke extensively about the Russian Far Eastern region and India's keenness to boost trade and economic cooperation with the Russian Far Eastern region. So what, according to you, India will benefit from this collaboration, and what are the avenues of investment and potential trade between the two sides in the Russian Far Eastern region?
It is a very friendly relationship going back to the 1950s from the Soviet days, but the economic content of this relationship is not as strong as the strategic partnership and the cultural partnership. India-Russia trade is only about $10 billion, much less than our bilateral trade with the United States or China or even Republic of Korea and Japan, etc. So there is a great effort on both sides by the leaders, President Vladimir Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to give more economic content to this relationship. And while looking at the map, looking at the future possibilities, the two leaders as well as the business leaders of the two countries have identified Russian Far East as a potential area where India can be a strong partner. And in the Fifth Eastern Economic Forum in 2019 in Vladivostok, we all remember that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the chief guest, and that was a very special honor accorded by President Vladimir Putin to India and to Prime Minister Modi. And at that time, Prime Minister Modi had announced line of credit or a loan of $1 billion to develop India's participation in the Russian Far East, and that was by way of investment in their energy sector, etc. And in today's address, Prime Minister Modi has particularly identified health and pharma sector, where India has a very good presence, a very good identity in whole of Russia. Then, of course, diamond, because Russia is a major producer of diamonds, and India is the world's number one in cutting and polishing diamonds. And then the Russian Far East is very rich in coking coal and in timber and in oil and gas. So there are very major sectors where Indian companies and Russian companies can be natural partners.
So in his address today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that India-Russia energy partnership can help bring stability to the global energy market. And in this context, he said that in fact Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas is working to collaborate with Vladivostok. And he also said that both sides are envisaging an energy and trade bridge. And he also referred to the proposed Chennai-Vladivostok maritime corridor to boost trade. So how do you see the energy cooperation between India and Russia moving forward? What are the key takeaways from whatever we have seen so far in energy cooperation between Russia and India, and what is the road ahead you see, Mr. Tal?
India and Russia already have a very robust, very productive, and very profitable partnership in the energy sector. Our ONGC Videsh has a major investment in Sakhalin Island in a major oil project, and it has started producing crude oil, which is being shipped to India. And this is a very important sector as reflected in the fact that this interaction and this address of Prime Minister Modi was virtual, but our Petroleum Minister, Sri Hardeep Singh Puri, is leading a delegation to actual meeting of the 6th Eastern Economic Forum. And this is a natural fit because India is a major consumer and Russia is a major producer of both oil and natural gas. And as world has witnessed, the price of crude oil has been going up and down, and that is not in the interest of either the producers of oil and natural gas or in the interest of consumers. There should be stability, some predictability in the market for the spot price and the long-term price of oil and gas. And by coming to some understanding, India and Russia can enter into long-term relationships for purchase of oil by India from Russia, which would be of benefit to both the countries as well as help in stabilizing the oil and gas market globally.
So, Mr. Tal, relationship between India and Russia getting stronger and stronger in the area of defense cooperation. But after today's address by the Prime Minister, do you think now India wants to focus on the economic side of the relationship? Because as you rightly mentioned, that though we have huge potential for boosting trade and commerce with Russia, but that potential is yet to be exploited.
The two leaders and policy makers have greatly appreciated the very long, very old and very reliable partnership in defense production, in the manufacture of very important platforms where the Russian help has been invaluable. And another almost more than 60% of our entire defense equipment, they are of Russian origin. Another important fact is that Russia has been ready to transfer technology to India for co-production of very major platforms, whether it is aircraft or tanks. But now the attempt is to give more normal economic relationship, and that is where effort has been very strong in the last decade or even more. But unfortunately, the results have not yet been commensurate with the effort. For some reason, our private sector has not been able to invest in Russia. And similarly, the Russian companies have invested in some major sectors in India, but the way we see Korean investment, the way we see Japanese investment, we have not seen investment from Russian companies for India. So focus now is to try to give direction to Indian companies as well as Russian companies, and also to involve the political leadership.
Mr. Tal, Russia has been a long-standing and time-tested partner for India, and development of India-Russia relations has been a key focus area of India's foreign policy. So how do you see India-Russia relations moving forward at a time when we have seen a kind of flux in the geopolitics, particularly developments in Afghanistan, situation in Gulf region, and our constant focus to improve connectivity between Central Asia and Southeast Asia? So in the current geopolitical context, how do you see the overall relations between India and Russia moving forward, also taking into consideration the points made by Prime Minister in his address today?
India and Russia have a very strong strategic partnership, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Vladimir Putin have been meeting very regularly. On the situation in Afghanistan, India and Russia have common concerns, and on 24th August, President Vladimir Putin had a very long conversation with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi because both the countries are very concerned that the new Afghanistan under the control of Taliban government should not become a sanctuary for terrorists. And Russia also faces the problem of terrorism in Chechnya, in Dagestan. India, of course, faces this problem. Both India and Russia have been advocating an inclusive government in Kabul where the Tajik Afghans, Uzbek Afghans, Hazara Afghans, they are all represented. So there is a lot of commonality in the perceptions of India and Russia when they look at future Afghanistan, which is peaceful, which is stable, which is prosperous, and is in harmony with its neighboring countries.
Mr. Tayal, Prime Minister also spoke about possible collaboration in the health and pharma sector. And we have seen that cooperation in containing the coronavirus pandemic also. So what, according to you, what kind of collaboration that we can forge in the future to exploit the potential in the sector?
In pharma sector, India has had a very strong presence in the erstwhile Soviet Union and also in Russia now. And Russia has made a lot of progress. It has its Sputnik vaccine against coronavirus, which has been recognized in India. India has its own vaccine also, which have been recognized by Russia. And as we know that Indian doctors, Indian hospitals are very competent and they have a global reputation, there could be a possibility of Indian hospitals opening their branches in different cities of Russia, particularly in the Far East, because for certain reasons, the Russian health sector is not as well developed as it is in the Western countries or even as it is in India. We can share our skills with the Russians and have more collaboration both in pharmaceutical sector and in health sector, including hospitals and vaccines in the context of COVID-19.
Finally, can we expect greater trade, greater collaboration in the trade and economic sector between two countries?
Yes, but it will take time because this trade will be based more on investments. Investments take time to come into fruition and to become productive. But in energy sector, now that Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri is there, perhaps we could see some very quick results in the months to come. And we have to also take into account the results of the pandemic, where both the Russian economy and Indian economy are struggling and dealing with the issues which were not there earlier. So post-pandemic, and once everything comes back to normal, perhaps the COVID effect on India's economy, on Russia's economy, and global economy will be behind us. Then we can see a significant boost in India-Russia trade.
Mr. Tal, thank you so very much for your in-depth analysis on the Prime Minister's address as well as trade and economic ties between India and Russia and possible avenues for greater collaboration with Russia's Far Eastern region. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, during the meeting of the European Union Foreign Affairs Council, assured that India will engage with all the 27 European Union members on the Indo-Pacific. Dr. Jaishankar's remarks came during the panel discussion at the Bled Strategic Forum that took place in Slovenia on Partnership for a Rules-Based Order in the Indo-Pacific. During the discussion, the External Affairs Minister said, India looks to strengthen its relations with the European Union while refuting the Western non-Western binary. Slovenia had invited the External Affairs Minister to attend an informal meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the European Union member states. Slovenia currently holds the presidency of the Council of the European Union. Dr. Jaishankar reached Ljubljana yesterday on the first leg of his three-nation visit to Slovenia, Croatia and Denmark. Earlier in the day, the External Affairs Minister called on the President of Slovenia, Borut Pahor. They discussed key challenges facing India and the European Union. He also held a bilateral meeting with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Slovenia, Dr. Ants Loger. Both ministers also exchanged views on Afghanistan and the Indo-Pacific. During his visit to Croatia on Friday, the External Affairs Minister will hold bilateral talks with his Croatian counterpart, Jordan Grlic Radman. Dr. Jaishankar will be on a 2-day visit to Denmark from Saturday, where he will co-chair the 4th round of the Indo-Danish Joint Commission meeting with the Danish Foreign Minister, Jeppe Kofod. The Ministry of External Affairs said Dr. Jaishankar's visit will provide an opportunity for reviewing the progress in bilateral ties with the three Central European countries and for strengthening the multifaceted relationship with the European Union.
The Indian Home Ministry has said that Indian visa or stay stipulation period of foreign nationals stranded in the country due to COVID-19 pandemic has now been extended till the 30th of September. This facility was earlier available till the 31st of August. The ministry said due to the situation arising out of COVID-19 pandemic, a number of foreigners who had come to India on various types of visas prior to March last year got stranded in the country in the absence of flights to their destinations. The central government had facilitated the stay of such foreign nationals within India by giving deemed extension of their regular visa or e-visa a stay stipulation period on gratis basis without levy of any overstay penalty.
In Afghanistan, a new government is likely to be formed tomorrow. According to reports, the Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid told in Kabul that the announcement about the formation of the new government will now be made on Saturday. The co-founder of Taliban, Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, is likely to be the head of the government. Mufti Inamullah Samangani, a senior official in the Taliban's Information and Culture Commission, said that deliberations have already been held on the new government and the cabinet. Agency reports quoting Taliban sources have said that the group's top religious leader, Mullah Hibatullah Akhundzada, will be Afghanistan's supreme authority. The move comes days after the United States fully withdrew its troops and ended 2 decades of war. Meanwhile, Amrullah Saleh, who was the vice president in the Ashraf Ghani government, has said that the Taliban have blocked access to aid in Panjshir. Former Afghanistan President Hamid Karzai, in a statement, asked the Taliban and the resistance front in Panjshir to stop the fighting and resolve their issues through talks. A few dozen protesters have reportedly gathered outside the presidential palace in Kabul, urging the Taliban leadership to uphold women's rights.
Yoshihide Suga will step down as a Japanese Prime Minister amid increasing anger over his government's handling of COVID-19. Mr. Suga announced on Friday he would not seek re-election in this month's leadership race for the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. The winner of that contest will lead the party in a general election that must be held by November the 30th. Suga became the Prime Minister just 1 year ago after long-serving Prime Minister Shinzo Abe stepped down over health concerns. He said during a party meeting that he wanted to focus on the coronavirus pandemic instead of continuing on as the head of the LDP.
India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 67 crore 65 lakh today. The Union Health Ministry said around 52 crore vaccine doses have been administered as the first dose and over 15 crore vaccine doses were given as the second dose so far. The new phase of universalization of COVID-19 vaccination commenced from the 21st of June this year.
Another indigenous COVID-19 vaccine candidate, Corbevax, has received the DCGI approval for 2 clinical trials. Vaccine maker Biological E has received approval from the Drugs Controller General of India to conduct phase 2 and 3 clinical trials on children aged 5 to 18 years with certain conditions.
India's Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Bharti Praveen Pawar, has discussed the challenges and opportunities during the implementation of digital health at the BRICS Ministerial Conclave. She represented India at the BRICS Ministerial Conclave through video conference on Friday. Dr. Pawar acknowledged that digital health has become the priority in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. She said the digital health was aptly utilized to manage the pandemic and enabled government for a much more scientific and data-driven approach for strengthening our response. Elaborating on India's National Digital Health Blueprint, she said, National Digital Health Mission will streamline digital health and through the issue of unique health ID, create a single source of truth for facilities and practitioners. And now a report from the business world.
BSE Sensex gained 277 points, or 0.48% to finish at 58,130. The NSE Nifty also surged 89 points, or 0.52% to settle at 17,324. Among global markets, Asian stocks are traded mixed. Japan's Nikkei 225 gained 2.1% and South Korea's Kospi 0.8%. On the other hand, Hong Kong's Hang Seng declined 0.7%, China's Shanghai Composite Index fell 0.4%, and Singapore's Straits Times Index has slipped 0.2%. Major European stocks also remain mixed in intraday trade. Oil prices rose more than 0.5% in intraday trade. Brent crude was trading around $73.50 per barrel. Back home, gold prices gained 130 rupees at the multi-commodity exchange for October contracts, in sync with gains in the international markets. The precious metal was trading at 47,120 rupees per 10 grams. Silver also rose for 40 rupees to 63,720 rupees per kilogram for September contracts when reports last came in. In the foreign exchange market, the rupee appreciated by 5 paise against the US dollar to close at 73 rupees and 2 paise against the US dollar. Arjun Chaudhary for World News, All India Radio.
In the Tokyo Paralympic Games, India won 3 medals today. The day began with a silver medal in the men's high jump T64 final when debutant Praveen Kumar cleared jump of 2.07 meters for a new Asian record. In shooting, Avni Lekhara won a bronze medal in the 50-meter three-position SH air rifle event. In archery, Harvinder Singh won the bronze medal in the men's individual recurve event. This is India's first ever medal in archery at the Paralympics. With this, Team India has won so far a total of 13 medals, including 2 gold, 6 silver and 5 bronze. In cricket, India were 42 for no loss in their second innings against England on day 2 of the 4th Test match at the Oval in London when reports last came in. Earlier, England were all out for 290 runs in their first innings. For the visitors, Umesh Yadav claimed 3 wickets while Jasprit Bumrah and Ravindra Jadeja bagged 2 wickets each. India were all out for 191 in their first innings. Both the teams are levelled 1-1 in the 5-match series. Now, let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Guardian invites China to keep Kabul embassy open and beef up relations, says Taliban. Washington Post writes Japan's leader Yoshihide Suga to step down after just 1 year in office. Financial Times reports EU ends dispute with AstraZeneca over vaccine deliveries. The Globe and Mail says Tripoli sees worst fighting in a year between rival armed forces. Sputnik News says NATO hawks raise their voice as Swedish Defence Minister speaks against EU army. And the Globe and Mail says NASA Mars rover may have snagged first rock sample for return.
A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Modi addresses the plenary session of Eastern Economic Forum in Russia, says India-Russia energy partnership can help bring stability to global energy market. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India will engage with all the 27 European Union members on Indo-Pacific. India extends stay stipulation period of foreign nationals stranded in the country due to COVID-19 till 30th of September. In Afghanistan, new Taliban-led government likely to be announced tomorrow. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga to step down amid increasing anger over his government's handling of COVID-19. And in Tokyo Paralympic Games, Praveen Kumar bagged silver medal in men's high jump. Avni Lekhara wins bronze in 50-meter air rifle event. Harvinder Singh bags bronze in men's individual recurve event in archery. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Norway. Vaishnav Jan And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.